prepare for death. It's a journey we'll all take. Learn how to make it a path to heaven's gate. Learn how to make it a path to heaven's gate.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. Assalatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. The Prophet of mankind, the peace of our heart and mind, the most generous and kind, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, has stated, O people, undoubtedly from the terror and accountability of the Day of Judgment, the person who would attain the quick salvation will be the one who would have recited salat upon me in abundance. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal. My dear viewers, in this silsila of the discussion of death, Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, in the previous episode, I discussed about Malakul Maut and his companion angels. And inshallah Azza wa Jal, in this episode, I shall discuss about the passing away of the Prophets alayhimus salatu wassalam. Hazrat Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala an reports that an angel requested permission to go to Hazrat Idris alayhi salam. So the angel presented himself in the court of Hazrat Idris alayhi salam and conveyed salam. Hazrat Idris alayhi salam asked, do you have any communication with Malakul Maut? He said, yes, he is my brother. Hazrat Idris alayhi salam said, can you afford me any benefit from him? The angel said, if you wish that the time of death should be altered, then this cannot be done. But I can request him to be gentle upon you when your time arrives. The angel then carried Hazrat Idris alayhi salam into the heights of the sky on his wings, until they met with Malakul Maut. The angel said to Malakul Maut, I have something to ask you. Malakul Maut said, I am aware of your intention. You wish to discuss the issue of Hazrat Idris alayhi salam. His name has already been removed from the register of those alive in the world, and now there is only half a moment left in his worldly life. Hence Hazrat Idris alayhi salam passed away whilst on the wing of the angel. Hazrat Jabir bin Zayd radiallahu ta'ala an reported that in the past the angel of death caused death to the people without the means of any illness or pain, etc. So the people began to curse and swear at him. Thus he complained in this regard to Allah Almighty. So Allah Almighty created illnesses. Now people say that such and such person died due to such and such illness, and none takes the name of Malakul Maut anymore. In other words, no one blames him. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala an reports from Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam that Malakul Maut initially went to people openly. And when he went to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam struck him with a single blow, which caused his eye to burst. He presented himself in the court of Allah Almighty and said, O Allah, your servant Hazrat Musa alayhi salam burst my eye. If he were not your respected servant, I would have been harsh towards him. Allah Azza wa Jal said, go to my servant and say to him that he should place his hand on the back of an ox, and for every hair that comes onto his hand from the back of the ox, you shall extend his life by 1 year. Malakul Maut brought this message to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. So Hazrat Musa alayhi salam asked, what will happen thereafter? He was said, Maut. He then said, if the end result is Maut, then remove my soul right away. Therefore Malakul Maut smote him and he passed away. And the eye of Hazrat Israel alayhi salam was put in order again. Henceforth, Hazrat Malakul Maut began coming to people hidden and not openly like in the past. It is reported from Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma that the angel said, O Allah Almighty, your servant Ibrahim alayhi salam is very fearful of death. Allah Azza wa Jal said, say to him that when friends, in other words beloveds, do not meet for a very long time, then one looks forward to meeting the other. When Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was informed of this, he said in the court of Allah Almighty, O Allah, I desire to meet you. Therefore, the Hazrat Malakul Maut sent a flower towards him. He smelled the flower, and on smelling it, his ruh left his body. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala an reported that Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam was very modest, and whenever he left his home, he would put a lock on the door, so that none may enter his home in his absence. One day when he returned home, he found a man standing inside his home. He asked who he was. He replied, I am that person who does not even fear kings, and for me there is no door to stop me. Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam said, by Allah, you are Malakul Maut, I welcome you. He then covered himself in a blanket and his soul was removed. On the day of the wafat of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam presented himself in the holy court of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and asked how Huzur sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam was feeling. He sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, I am anxious and sad. Just then, Malakul Maut requested permission to enter. Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam mentioned that Malakul Maut is seeking permission to present himself. He has not sought permission from anyone before Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and he will not seek permission from anyone after Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam blessed him with permission to enter. He presented himself and stood before Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and said, Allah Almighty has commanded me to remove your blessed soul, and if you do not wish, Allah has commanded that I should not remove it. He sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, O Malakul Maut, are you really appointed to do this? He said, yes. Jibreel alayhi salam then said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allah Almighty is looking forward to meet with you. He sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, O Malakul Maut, carry out the command of Allah. Therefore he removed the blessed soul of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. My dear viewers, this narration clearly explains the excellence and station of the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. It can be clearly deduced from this hadith that none has an excellence like that which has been bestowed upon Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The hadith that passed earlier mentioned that Malakul Maut made very clear to the other Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam that he does not need permission to enter any home, and for him there are no doors. However, when he visited Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he did not enter, but rather he waited for permission. He only entered when the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam granted him permission. This narration clearly shows that Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is the greatest and most beloved in Allah's creation, and that not even the angel of death has authority to do anything without his sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam's permission. It further explains that the angel of death was given a unique command. The command was that he could only remove the soul of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam with his blessed permission. And if he sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam did not allow him to remove his blessed soul, then the angel of death was commanded that he should not do so. Subhanallah. Such is the excellence of Imam al-Anbiya, Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Now let's look into detail in regards to the death of non-humans. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, the souls of animals and insects are in their tasbih. When the tasbih ceases, they die. Their death is not in the control of Malakul Maut. Malakul Maut removes the souls of the humans, whilst another angel removes the souls of the jinns, and another removes the souls of the shayateen, and there is one who removes the souls of the fish, quadruples, wild beasts, and insects. In addition, even the angels who pass away when the surah is blown for the first time, and after removing the souls, Malakul Maut will also pass away. Najib ibn Abi Ubaid said, I saw Malakul Maut in my dream, wherein he was saying, say to your father that he should recite durood upon me, so that I may be gentle upon him. I mentioned this to my father, and he said to me, O my son, I am even closer to Malakul Maut than I am to your mother. Now let's look into detail in regards to the annual termination of ages. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala an reported that Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, until Sha'ban, the ages, in other words lives, are terminated. Yet a person makes nikah and he has children, whereas his name has been entered into the register of the dead. Bibi Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam would keep fast throughout the month of Sha'ban. So I asked his reason for doing this. He sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, the name of every person who is to die in this year is written down in this month. So I wish that I should be fasting when I meet with Allah Almighty. Hazrat Ata bin Yasar radiyallahu ta'ala an reported, when the eve of the 15th of Sha'ban arrives, Malakul Maut is handed over a register, and it is said to him that the souls of the names of all those people who are recorded in this register should be removed. As a man plants a tree, makes nikah, constructs his house, whereas his name has already been recorded in the register of the dead. In other words, of those who are to die. Hazrat Ikramah radiyallahu ta'ala an reports that all the affairs that are to take place between the 15th of Sha'ban and the following Sha'ban are recorded. The list of those who will live and those who will die, and the list of all the Hajis are recorded, and there will be no changes made to this. The beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam said on the eve of the 15th of Sha'ban, Allah Azza wa Jal sends wahi upon the angels to remove the soul of whosoever is to die in this year. Hazrat Muhammad bin Hamad reported, under the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal, there is a tree, and on it is a leaf for every creation. So when the leaf which is attributed to any of the creation breaks and falls off, his soul is removed. It is mentioned in the Holy Quran, Part 7, Surah Al-An'am, verse 59. وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِن وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا. Translation from Kanzul Iman, and he knows of every leaf which falls. I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He gives us all the ability that we're able to prepare for our death. Ameen bijahin Nabil Ameen sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Prepare for death, it's a journey we'll all take. Learn how to make it a path to heaven's gate. Learn how to make it a path to heaven's gate.